Every day, people passed him without a glance. His voice echoed through the cold subway walls, but no one stopped to listen. He didn't sing for fame, he sang to survive. Shoes worn thin, eyes filled with quiet hope, he kept going. Until one stranger heard more than just a voice. He heard a story. 13-year-old Ethan stood at the edge of the subway platform, gripping his small, faded guitar as if it were the only thing keeping his world from falling apart. His fingers were thin, marked with calluses from months of playing in the underground tunnels. He wore an oversized hoodie that once belonged to his father, and his shoes were so worn that the soles had begun to peel away. Just a year ago, Ethan's life had been completely different. He lived in a small but warm apartment with his mother and father. His father worked as a bus driver, and his mother baked cookies for the neighborhood kids. Laughter filled their home. His father used to sing to him before bed, teaching him songs from different parts of the world. Music was their bond, but life changed in one single painful moment. His father passed away unexpectedly after a severe heart attack. The sudden loss shattered their world. His mother, who was already battling health issues, fell deeper into depression, and medical bills began piling up. Their savings disappeared faster than they could understand. Within months, they lost their apartment and had to move into a small shelter nearby. His mother tried her best to work small jobs whenever her health allowed, but most days she struggled just to sit up. Ethan, too young to work legally, wanted to help. He remembered his father's guitar, the one gift he had left behind. With trembling hands, he picked it up one morning, his heart breaking and hopeful at the same time. He started going to the subway station every day after school hours. He didn't beg. He didn't plead. He just sang, softly, gently, like his father taught him. His voice carried the pain of loss and the warmth of memories. Some days he earned a few coins. Other days he went home with nothing but a tired smile, telling his mother, "Tomorrow will be better." In the beginning, Ethan was nervous. People rushed past him, their footsteps loud and uncaring. They were late for work, late for school, late for life. Some gave him a glance, some smiled faintly, but most just kept moving. Still, he sang. Over time, he began to learn the rhythm of the station, the busy hours, the quiet mornings, the faces that appeared and disappeared like shadows. His songs became little stories he told to the walls, to the tracks, to the memory of his father. The passing trains didn't drown his voice. They carried it. There was a small corner near the second stairway, his favorite spot. The tiles were cracked and the lights flickered overhead, but the acoustics were perfect. When he sang there, his voice felt bigger than his fears. Despite his struggles, Ethan still attended school when he could. He sat in the back of the classroom, quiet, often tired, sometimes hungry. He didn't talk about his life. He didn't mention the shelter or the subway or the guitar. His classmates never asked, but every night, before he closed his eyes beside his mother, he whispered to himself, "Sing and don't give up." And so every morning, the boy with the old guitar returned to the subway, hoping his song would someday be heard. Winter crept into the subway like an unwelcome guest, touching everything with its icy breath. The air was colder now, and the station tiles felt like glass beneath Ethan's feet. He wrapped his arms around himself and blew into his palms to keep them from going numb before he played. His guitar case sat open in front of him, not empty, yet not full, just like his heart. Some people stared at him with pity, others with suspicion. A few made rude comments under their breath, thinking he couldn't hear. Where are his parents? He should be in school. Another street kid looking for money. Their words stung, not because they were loud, but because they were careless. One evening, a group of teenagers passed by, laughing loudly. They didn't know Ethan, and they didn't care. One of them kicked over his guitar case, scattering the few coins he'd collected across the floor. People walked over them as if they were just part of the dirt. Ethan's heart thudded painfully, but he didn't cry. He simply knelt down quietly and gathered each coin, placing them back into the case. He kept singing. His mother's condition worsened. Some days she couldn't get up from bed. The shelter workers tried to help, but medicines were expensive. Ethan used whatever he earned to buy her food and pills, sometimes skipping meals himself. His teachers noticed his absence, but he avoided their calls and questions. He was scared they would separate him from his mother, and that was the one thing he couldn't bear. There were moments when he nearly gave up. One stormy evening, cold rainwater leaked into the station, making puddles near the tracks. The crowd was thinner, the coins fewer. His fingers trembled as he played. Every note felt heavier than the last. A station guard approached him. "Kid, you can't stay here much longer," he said, not unkindly but firmly. "People are complaining." Ethan nodded and packed his guitar without protest. He walked to another corner of the station, colder and darker, and continued singing. But the hardest night came when his guitar string snapped in the middle of a song. The sharp sound echoed like a crack in his heart. He stood there frozen, eyes wide, unsure what to do. The few people around glanced up, then looked away again. No one stopped. No one helped. He sat down on the floor with the broken instrument in his lap, his head hanging low. For the first time in months, he let silent tears fall. Not loud cries, just quiet drops that landed on the worn wood of his guitar. He thought about his father's voice, about his mother's tired smile, about the future that felt too far to touch. He whispered to himself, "Maybe no one will ever hear me." That night, he went back to the shelter with only a handful of coins and a broken guitar. His mother noticed his silence but didn't ask why. She simply reached out and held his hand. Ethan closed his eyes and wondered if his songs had all been in vain. The next morning, Ethan hesitated before leaving. His guitar, with its broken string, rested beside his small bed at the shelter. He debated staying home, but his mother placed a weak hand on his shoulder and whispered, "Your father would be proud of you. Don't stop singing." With renewed but fragile hope, he left, carrying the guitar carefully. He found a quiet corner in the station and began singing without the string, his voice filling the empty space with raw emotion. That's when a man in a long coat stopped a few feet away. He was in his late 40s with gentle eyes and a face that looked like it had seen its share of hardship. He stood still, listening, not glancing, not rushing, just listening. Ethan noticed him but kept singing. His voice trembled at first, but then it grew stronger, as if someone had given it permission to be heard. When the song ended, Ethan looked down, expecting the man to walk away like everyone else. But he didn't. He crouched down slowly and asked, "What's your name?" "Ethan," he replied softly. "Do you always sing here?" the man asked. Ethan nodded. I try." The man glanced at the guitar and noticed the snapped string. Without saying a word, he gently picked it up, examining it with care. "This guitar has stories," he said quietly. "Would you let me help you keep telling them?" Ethan looked confused. "Help? How?" The man smiled kindly. "I'm Daniel. I'm a music producer. I was on my way to a meeting when I heard your voice. I don't usually stop, but today, something told me to listen." Ethan's breath caught. He didn't know what to say. Daniel continued, "I know what real emotion sounds like. You're not just singing notes, you're singing truth." He reached into his bag and pulled out a small business card. "Let me get this guitar fixed. And if you're willing, I'd like to record you." Ethan blinked in disbelief. No one had ever offered him anything like that. Daniel didn't stop there. He purchased a new set of strings that same day and brought Ethan to a nearby music shop. The shop owner, recognizing Daniel, agreed to repair the guitar immediately. When Ethan strummed the first restored chord, his eyes filled with tears, but this time they weren't from pain. Over the next few weeks, Daniel visited often. He met Ethan's mother, helped her get medical assistance, and made sure the shelter staff knew support was on the way. He even spoke to Ethan's school to arrange flexible timing so he wouldn't fall behind. Finally, one afternoon, Daniel brought Ethan to a small recording studio. It wasn't grand, but to Ethan it felt like a dream come alive. He recorded the song he used to sing with his father, a song full of love, memory, and longing. Daniel uploaded a short clip online with Ethan's permission. Within days, it spread like wildfire. People from around the world commented, praising the boy with the voice of hope. Donations poured in. Offers came from music schools, charities, and kind strangers. Ethan wasn't invisible anymore. His songs, once lost in the noise of footsteps and trains, were finally being heard. Kindness doesn't always arrive with noise. It often comes quietly in a moment of listening. One person's attention can change another person's entire world. Ethan didn't need the whole crowd. He just needed one heart to notice. And that heart gave him back his song, his hope, and his future. Because sometimes the greatest gifts are not given. They are heard.